Right on time. Hey everyone, 'tis I, multi-voice reviewer, once again. And this time, this is the one you all been waiting for. I mean, you know me, I always like Star Trek, right? But what is the other sci-fi I enjoy the most? And it ain't Star Wars, I'm sorry folks. One thing you should know about me, of course I've been pointing that out every single time throughout all my other shows. I am a Whovian. And what is a Whovian, you guys is going to ask me? Well, a Whovian is a huge fan who loves that British sci-fi time-traveling series called Doctor Who. And this is my review for the day. Now, I would review the whole entire series of Doctor Who, but it's going to take me a long time. I mean, I have to spend all my money for an entire Blu-ray or DVD collection of the entire series of Doctor Who. And if I do the review of them, the review would have been very, very long. So I have to go by each actor who played the Doctor. And of course, secondly, there are other reviewers who got that covered. There are other internet reviewers who did review Doctor Who, one way or another. But one thing I can do is review my number one favorite Doctor Who of all time. Now this one was my holy grail of all Doctor Who shows. And it is Doctor Who 50th Anniversary Day of the Doctor. Now, I'm going to tell you about why I love this one so much. And if you want to know who's Doctor Who, what's the whole premise, before I tell you about this, first, brief history. You see, a long time ago, Doctor Who started back in 1963. He is a man shrouded in mystery. His real name is unknown. That's why he preferred to be called the Doctor. But there is an ultimate question, a question that everybody always asks. Doctor Who? That's why the show is called Doctor Who, because every time when you meet somebody and they ask him, who are you? He says, I am the Doctor. And they always say Doctor Who. Now, here's a little brief history. Back in 1936, it all started, there was this young girl who turns out she's not from this world. And a teacher and a principal followed her into the TARDIS. Now, what is the TARDIS? Well, it's the phone box they put on the show, like the TARDIS I have right here, the phone box. And why is it called a TARDIS is because their initials, it represents for time and relative dimension in space. TARDIS. TARDIS. And why does it look like a phone box? Well, you see, it had a chameleon device into it. So anywhere it travels through time, it can camouflage itself into other areas. Like if it traveled in ancient Rome, it will turn into one of those things. I forgot, those big long things. And if it time traveled into the forest, it will camouflage itself into a tree. But why is it a phone box throughout the entire show? It went malfunction and got stuck as the phone box. And the first actor who played the Doctor is William Hartnell. Now, he wasn't that much of an interesting actor. I mean, he was kind of acting like a grumpy old man. But he gets better throughout the rest of the show. And sadly, due to his health issues, it was time for him to be replaced. And they finally found a new actor to replace him, and that's when they invented something that not many people never thought of: the Doctor's regeneration. Anytime when it's time for the Doctor to die, he will regenerate, and he wakes up with a new face and a new body. So William Hartnell had regenerated to Patrick Thornton, or whatever his name is. Now, unlike William Hartnell, he's more of a kind, caring father figure, and some people do say he kind of looks like a cosmic clown. His and everybody remembers him by blowing that accordion that it shows in his picture. And his famous catchphrase is, "Oh my giddy odds!" And he was more of a funny kind of doctor. And then he has to regenerate once again into John Pertwee. Now, unlike Patrick, he was more of a dynamic kind of doctor. He was more like James Bond. Unlike the other doctors who hates violence, he embraced violence by punching, kicking, shooting, and also having a sword fight with his arch nemesis, the Monster, another alien from his planet. And his famous catchphrase is, "I reverse the polarity of the neutron flow." And then he has to regenerate to the #1 iconic Doctor Who of all time, Tom Baker. Now, one thing most people remember about Tom Baker is his fedora and his long scarf. And his catchphrase becomes one of the trademarks in the show. "Would you like a jelly, baby? They're quite good." So pretty much, Tom Baker is the #1 icon to all the Whovians back then. And he played the Doctor longer than the other actors. And sadly, he has to regenerate to the youngest Doctor, who has a thing for cricket. That British game cricket. And it is Peter Davison. And a lot of people remember him as that cricket outfit he wears because of his fondness of cricket, and that celery he has on his lapel. One of his companions told him, "What are you doing with that celery on your lapel?" He says, "Well, anytime I go outside and if there's toxic fume, the fumes will turn my celery purple." "Then what you do, Doctor?" "I eat it and get another celery." And sadly, Peter regenerated once again and became Colin Baker. Now, a lot of people, there's some other there's a lot of Whovian fans who don't like Colin Baker here, but I say he's a really good actor. The problem was that the show from this Doctor Who series was getting really, really slow. I mean, the pacing was getting down to a crawl. But he did a good job playing the Doctor, even though his outfit looks like that the designer was colorblind. And he always had a thing for cats, that's why he had a pin of a cat on his lapel. And he did a good job playing the Doctor, until he regenerated once again to the 7th Doctor that pretty much everybody remembered in the 80s. Sylvester McCoy. Now, he's like a mixture between John Pertwee and Patrick. He's both funny and dynamic. Him with his trusty question mark umbrella. Sometimes he acts so funny and silly, but he also can be, get down to the gritty nitty and take some actions. And this one was the most Sylvester McCoy was the most memorable Doctor Who anybody ever knew. So, but sadly in 1983, that's when the show ended. And it was a dark times for all Whovians. So pretty much the show had started in 1963 all the way to 1989. And I was born in 1985, so I hardly watch any Doctor Who's. They used to show it on PBS, but I never had a chance to watch them. Even though there's a lot of radio dramas, but it's on BBC Radio, so you need to find them on YouTube. There's a lot of radio dramas of Doctor Who. And now it goes down to something that none of you never even knew. Back in 1996, sadly I never saw it because they aired it on Fox, and they made a TV movie of Doctor Who, and they aired it on Fox, but I never saw it because back in 1996, I was more busy. I had DirecTV at the time, and I was watching what was on the Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, and Nickelodeon. I didn't have time for Fox. But they made this one TV movie, tried to boost up the Doctor Who, where Sylvester McCoy was in that movie, and then he regenerated to Paul McGann. Now, the TV movie was really good. I was lucky to find it and download it before they removed it on YouTube. But Paul McGann did a really good job playing the Doctor. He's like what if Hugh Grant regenerated into the Doctor and he takes over. So he's kind of like Hugh Grant as a Doctor. But sadly, this didn't catch on. And it was pretty much like all over for Doctor Who. But all wasn't lost. Until 2005, year right after I graduated from high school. In 2005, I didn't have DirecTV anymore, so I discovered YouTube. And there was a new Doctor Who series back in 2005. And sadly, it didn't show Paul McGann regenerated. But we see a new Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. Now, Christopher Eccleston here, he did a good job playing the Doctor. But sadly, he wasn't into the show. I mean, he did a good job playing the Doctor, but he just wasn't into the show. And after he left the show, he never looked back. He never think about returning to Doctor Who at all. And even when some people ask him, he refuses. What a waste. Until he regenerated into my favorite, #1 Doctor Who of all time. I mean, I was really hooked on Doctor Who when I saw him just burst in the screen. And it is David Tennant. Now, David Tennant, he was a really awesome Doctor Who. He was suave, dashing, and of course, one thing that was really different on Doctor Who, he was the only Doctor who can kiss the girls, his female companions. Something that no other Doctor never done. So, thanks to David Tennant, I wouldn't be the same Whovian like I am today. And then when I heard about a new Doctor Who's going to be showing up, and it kind of bummed me out for a bit, but I got hooked to it, and it was Matt Smith. Now, I got along with Matt Smith. At first, I was kind of skeptic, and of course, everybody kind of complained too, because Matt Smith was like 24, and he was really young, and everybody complained about having the youngest actor playing the Doctor. But who cares? He's the Doctor. He can regenerate from young to old. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Matt Smith, he was the most favorite Doctor of all time. Well, second favorite besides David Tennant. And heck, my grandma wasn't into Doctor Who when she was young, and she was born in 1950. She was never into Doctor Who at all, until when she saw some episodes with Matt Smith here, she got hooked. And she did like David Tennant. It's just, my grandma and I had the same agreement about Christopher Eccleston. So. And this was the best Doctor Who ever made, the 50th anniversary. After all those episodes with Matt Smith, they decided to do the most outrageous and unbelievable Doctor Who movie ever made. And it was The Day of the Doctor. And it all involves the Time War. Now, what is the Time War? That was part of the Doctor here. You see, he's an alien from the planet called Gallifrey. And what kind of alien species he is? He's a Time Lord. And what a Time Lords are, they are aliens who specialize in time travel. But the Doctor uses the gift of his time traveling in order to just go through time and protect people from Earth from not being invaded from other alien species. And one thing about the TARDIS, even though it looks like a little blue box, it's bigger on the inside. And it's not just a time machine. It's like a DeLorean, the Enterprise, and a Batcave all roll in one. So even though it looks like a small blue box from the outside, the inside is a mansion. And it's also alive, too. And, of course, you're wondering about the same tool that I use, the sonic screwdriver. The Doctor uses the sonic screwdriver because what it does, it would hack into machines, lock and unlock doors, and it can be used as a scanner. It can do just about anything, except it doesn't work on wood. That's the tool's weakness. And this is Matt Smith's sonic screwdriver. The sonic screwdriver has been changed from actor to actor to actor, and I always like Matt Smith's sonic screwdriver because I'm not conversating. It just looks a lot bigger than David Tennant's. Shut up. Anyway, now to his planet Gallifrey. Here's the sad part. The Doctor, he's the last of his kind. Besides his arch nemesis, the Master. He is the last of his kind because a long time ago, Gallifrey got into war, and it was called the Time War. And it was a battle between the Gallifreys, the Gallifreyans, they call them, and the Daleks. That's right. Those are the same Daleks who found me during my Back to the Future review. They're the one who went like, "You shall be exterminated! Exterminate! Exterminate!" Now, they don't look threatening to you from looking at them, but that plunger they have there, it's very dangerous. One time I saw two Daleks was scanning somebody. They put their plunger covering this one guy's head, and it turned into a skull. They were scanning his brain and took everything, from brain to flesh to everything except the bone. And this thing here is their lasers. And of course, one thing you should know about them, even though they don't have legs, but they can levitate in stairs. So you think you're safe climbing on top of the stairs with a Dalek coming after you? You're out of luck. Because that Dalek can levitate on top of your stairs. And of course, if you ever try shooting them, these things are bulletproof. Now, they're not robots. Now, one thing you should know about the Daleks, they're like Nazis. They're fascists. And what they look like inside, turns out they are these one-eyed, big-brain squids controlling them. That's what they look like inside. And those are the Daleks for you. And they had a war against the Time Lords. And the war was so horrible, they were slaughtering all the Time Lords until they all went extinct. Except the Master escaped, and so did the Doctor, along with his granddaughter, but nobody could not find her. So anyway, one thing that's really cool about this one, Matt Smith teams up with David Tennant. And that's awesome! That is really, really awesome! And of course, my favorite companion who tags along with Matt Smith is Clara, played by Jenna Coleman. Oh, Jenna, you're so cute. No wonder they call you the Impossible Girl. You are impossibly cute. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I got into a daze when I think about her. I really like her, so... I mean, makes me wish I was the Doctor so she can be my companion. And of course, oh yeah. Billie Piper, who played Rose Tyler from the later show, from those shows. She appears in this show, right here, but she's not playing Rose Tyler. She's playing the memory that she calls herself Bad Wolf Girl. Bad Wolf Girl. And I wonder you're going to be asking me, who's this old man in the middle? Well, it is John Hurt. You know John Hurt. The one from the first movie of Alien. The one who has the creature popped out of his chest. And of course did it again on Spaceballs and said, "Oh no, not again." Ugh. And who is he playing as? He says he's the Doctor. But there's a prequel short in this DVD. And guess who it showed in that prequel? Paul McGann as the Doctor. You see, in the prequel, Paul McGann was helping this woman who is involved in the Time War, but she trapped him, and a bunch of three Time Lord witches gave him a choice for him to change and get himself involved in the Time War. So he drunk a gauntlet, and he's no longer the Doctor. He is now a warrior. And he regenerated into John Hurt. But of course, Paul McGann regenerated to John Hurt's. It doesn't count. He's not numbered, so he doesn't count. But to make things worse, it turns out that there is a group of evil aliens called the Zygons. Now, the Zygons are these creatures right here, full of suction cups. What they do, they can turn themselves into anybody they come in contact. So if a Zygon saw me, it will turn itself into me. So there'll be two of us. And now a group of Zygon turn themselves into the to Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, who is the head of UNIT, a military team who specializes in UFOs and extraterrestrials. And the Brigadier is like the Commissioner Gordon to the Doctor's Batman. But now there's two Brigadiers, don't know which one is a Zygon, and they finally stopped them because the Brigadier was planning to have a detonated bomb. It will wipe out half of the people in England in order to save billions. So now David Tennant, Matt Smith, and John Hurt, they both team up together to stop them. Oh yeah, and there's also when the Zygon were trying to invade Queen Elizabeth I, and that's when Matt Smith met David Tennant, because David Tennant was with Queen Elizabeth I. He was trying to figure out if that really Queen Elizabeth or one of the Zygons. And now, David Tennant ended up married to Queen Elizabeth. That explains why that one episode, Queen Elizabeth, when David Tennant helped William Shakespeare and Queen Elizabeth shows up, found the Doctor, and order her man to have him beheaded. I guess David Tennant must have ditched her after he married her. Wow. So now John Hurt's here. He's in the part where it's in the middle of the Time War, and he was about ready to detonate a device. It would burn everybody all over Gallifrey in order to spare everybody's agony. And here comes my favorite part of all, folks. Matt Smith changes his mind, and instead of burning Gallifrey, he decided to freeze it. They have these devices called the stasis cubes, and they can trap to anything into a parallel pocket universe. It can freeze everything into a pocket universe like a painting. So now Matt Smith, John Hurt, and David Tennant, they all work together, and they contacted the Time Lord High Command to tell them what they're going to do. And they explained the High Command, and the High Command was like this:
It's illusional. The calculations alone would take hundreds of years.
And David Tennant and Matt Smith said, oh, hundreds, but don't worry. I've been studied a very long time ago. And all the other doctors came. Paul McGann, Sylvester McCoy, Tom Baker, all the doctors showed up. And they all start surrounding Gallifrey. I mean, it was awesome. There was all these other TARDISes showing up, going like, call on the wall, Count to Gallifrey, this is a doubt, this is a doctor. Ben out, ready, soon be there. Taking one boundaries of one universe to another. I'll lock out these coordinates. And for my next trek. And the High Command was like,
I never thought I was well off. All 12 of them.
And one of them said, no, sir, all 13. And it briefly showed Peter Capaldi, the newer doctor. I'll get to him later. So anyway, the High Command was like,
just do it, Doctor. Just do it. Do it!
And Matt Smith was like, okay, gentlemen, we're ready. And he tightened his bow tie, and they say their famous catchphrase, Geronimo! I don't eat! And John Hurt said this one line I love so much. Oh, for God's sakes, Gallifrey stands! So now, it succeeded. They freeze Gallifrey into a parallel pocket universe while all the Daleks fire their lasers to each other. They start firing on themselves. And then, to excite all the fans, David Tennant left, and of course, John Hurt, he left, and it showed us he was starting to regenerate and said,
I hope that my ears won't be less conspicuous this time.
And it showed he regenerated into Christopher Eccleston. And then the Doctor met the art curator looking at a painting of Gallifrey. And Tom Baker, the most famous Doctor of them all, showed up. And he says,
what do you think of this painting here?
It's all 2 titles. No more. Gallifrey Falls.
No. You're thinking of one title. Gallifrey Falls no more.
Gallifrey Falls no more? Then it's out there.
I'm only a curator. But who knows? Who knows?
And this was the best 50th anniversary I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, out of all the Doctor Who episodes, I would love to watch this movie from days on end. And sadly, they did a Christmas special where Matt Smith regenerated into Peter Capaldi as the new Doctor. But now Doctor Who is on their 10th season, and it's hinting that Peter Capaldi is going to regenerate once again to someone else. I don't know who, his name escapes me. But we will see soon. Well, this is Multi-Voice Reviewer telling you all to If you love this review of Doctor Who, please leave a comment down below. Hit like, subscribe, and... what's this? Oh, yeah. Did you know back in the 80s, Paramount was planning to do a Doctor Who movie in America? And guess who they were thinking about casting in their Doctor Who movie? Michael Jackson and Bill Cosby. That'll be interesting.
Who are you, my dear sir, who is inside of a blue box?
Well, I'm a doctor. I'm a Time Lord.
Doctor Who.
Just a doctor. Oh, boy. Actually, I think I'm going to talk more about this in my next review, so... see you soon. Or, I don't see.